Hi, Ron Warren here. Recently, Cosmopolitan magazine published an open letter from a woman who was about to abort her baby. Going by the initial H, she addressed her letter to her unborn child, Little Thing. In short, the expectant mother tells her unborn child that because she is not ready to be a mother yet, she's going to have an abortion. She assures her child that they will meet again when she's ready for motherhood. You can read the full letter at the link we provide below. There are several statements in the letter that, frankly, are incredibly disturbing. But first, I want to make it clear that we should have compassion for this mother. Yes, what she did was wrong. Yes, she's being illogical. Yes, she has taken a life. But she is a product of our fallen culture and a fallen world. You see, for the past 50 years, we have built a culture that says sex and marriage are not connected. There are no absolutes. There is no truth separate and distinct from what you feel or believe. With that cultural mindset in place, how can we expect anything other than what this mother wrote? So as Christians, we are called to meet her and others like her with compassion, hope, and help, just like Jesus did. With that spirit in mind, I want to point out the elements of this letter that should cause us all to step back and rethink some things. First, H writes to her baby that they will meet again in this world, not the next. By writing that, she has stripped away her child's uniqueness and identity. The next time she gets pregnant, she will bring into life another little one, not a little thing, that is not the same one that she aborted. Every human life has its own unique DNA. The DNA that made up that little one who was aborted will never again be reproduced. He or she is lost forever to this world. But this mom has created a narrative that I suspect has its roots in two things. First and foremost, I believe that H was seeking moral justification for her act by convincing herself that she's not actually killing her baby, but putting off its birth to a later date. And in a culture where science fiction storylines about alternate realities and universes have become very popular, she could find plenty of theories to support her notion that their paths would cross again in some other reality. Thus, her statement in the letter, I promise that the next time I see that little blue plus, the next time you are in the same reality as me, I will be ready for you. Another part of the letter that I found disturbing was the following, and I quote, love and spontaneity are beautiful, but they have little merit. Love has little merit? One of the most famous Bible verses of all times is 1 Corinthians 13:13, which says, 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Love is the basis and foundation of family life. It is the basis of our relationship with God, who is love. To dismiss love as meritless is again a sad product of a culture that appears to not want people to be in loving relationships with each other or with God. Love makes things complicated. It commits people to each other. It requires self-sacrifice. Therefore, love's enemies would say that it limits freedom. It limits our ability to spread our wings and self-actualize. Love is related to old-fashioned things like marriage and monogamy. In a culture of people who have broken free of those chains, we can't have things like love floating around. Therefore, we have created a loveless culture that no longer knows the value of love. Again, folks, this is a culture we created, and this young woman is a product of it. The final point I want to make is the way in which H reflects a growing sentiment in the pro-choice movement. More and more, we are seeing pro-choice people fully acknowledging the humanity of the babies they are aborting. But they still feel justified because they view that life as a life worth sacrificing. H makes this clear in her statement, I want you to be better than I ever was. In other words, my aborting you is the compassionate thing to do because you are better off not being born. This is a scary turning point in our culture. While horrific, at least there was logic to the pro-choice position of the past, which said, it's not a life, therefore aborting it is a morally neutral act. But the new argument we face is much scarier. It is a life, but a life worth sacrificing. This is vice masquerading as virtue. It is killing dressed up in sanitized terms like choice and reproductive freedom. How do we argue with someone who knows they're ending a life but believes they are making a compassionate moral choice? And as I've discussed in previous Life Chats, this is exactly the mentality used by history's greatest villains. Slavery, the Holocaust, and other atrocities were always committed by people who believed the lives they were destroying were in fact lives, but lives worth sacrificing for a greater moral, social, or economic good. I feel the pro-choice movement has committed fully to this ideology. Therefore, it is up to us as pro-abundant life people to tell a different story and provide the compassion, hope, and help women and men need to make life-affirming choices. You know, Cosmopolitan published this letter under a headline that said that H's letter was heartwarming. I'm sorry, folks, but this letter is heartbreaking, and indeed, we have much work to do. Amen? Until next time, may God bless you daily as you serve Him faithfully.